behind me here is the racetrack where cars are going to be going round all day. Some of them giving passenger rides, some of them doing demonstration laps. And a lot of these cars are from the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust. And joining me to talk about them is Tony Marigold. Hiya, Tony.
Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Tony is the collections manager at the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust at Gaydon,
yes,
right next to the British Motor Museum, so not far to come today. Talk us through some of the cars that we've got out on track there.
Right, well, we tried to get a bit of a mixture so there's something that meets everyone's palate. Obviously, first thing is it's 60 years of the launch of the E-type. So we've got the first E-type Roadster here, 77 RW, which is the green one. So that'll be doing a few laps. Similarly, historically, we've got our own 1953 C-type, which was bought by an Italian called Mario Tadini to do the Mille Miglia. He wasn't very successful in the Mille Miglia, but that was the start of its history. The other most famous car we've got here is the one that's literally just going onto track now, 120 fixed head coupe. We know it as the Montlhéry coupe. That was the one that was driven around the Montlhéry track in Paris at 100 miles an hour, 24 hours a day, for 7 days and 7 nights. And there's some great stories about that Montlhéry thing. Just driving them round and round in circles, and you're not touching the brakes, you're just flat out. Incredibly boring. So to liven up the boredom, the pit crew put out a card table on the track and sat there playing cards while Stirling Moss is driving past. And then when they got bored with that, they put a couple of cones out on the track, and every time Stirling Moss went through, they moved the cones in a bit. So each lap they got a little bit nearer and nearer until he was touching them as he went past. So that's the sort of stuff you do to stop getting bored at 100 miles an hour.
With the ring taxi here as well.
That's right. Jaguar have got a test site at the Nurburgring where they do generally do some real fast road testing, but also the Nurburgring's got its own sort of culture anyway. And I think actually BMW started it doing taxi rides, so Jaguar inevitably did the same. They started off in an XJR saloon, which we've got here, and it is liveried up as the ring taxi. And basically you paid, I think, €249, strapped yourself in a full race harness in a Recaro seat and got driven around the track at lunatic speeds by a professional driver. 8 minutes 30 seconds.
Not too shabby.
Which, if anyone's done the Nurburgring, that is pretty quick.
That is pretty quick. It has become a bit of a sort of badge of honour with car manufacturers now, hasn't it, to get the quickest time round the ring. Unfortunately, it does make cars quite solid on suspensions, which is one criticism of it. But
it does, yeah. And interesting enough, they retired the ring taxi and it came to the museum, and they replaced it with what they called a race taxi, which is a souped-up F-type SVR. And amazingly enough, when they retired that came to the museum as well. So we've got a 4-seater ring taxi and a 2-seater ring taxi as well in our collection.
Superb. And these cars out on track giving passenger rides today?
Yes, they are. Sadly for the visitors here, but sensibly for us as a trust, our insurers wouldn't allow us to let Joe Public drive around the circuit. So we just restricted to passenger rides. And yeah, that's, as you can see, that's some of what's going on now. Obviously they are parade laps, they're not racing laps, but at least it'll give everyone the experience of going out in one of these particular cars anyway.
Fantastic. Well, one of the amazing cars, and I always just fawn when I see it, is the Walkinshaw Percy European Touring Car winning XJS, which we can just see over your shoulder there, Tony. And you fired this up earlier, and that V12 still sounds amazing.
Right. We were requested to do passenger rides in that car. Slight problem with that is there's no passenger seat, so we couldn't do that. But we still committed to bring it along, and yeah, we will do a little bit of a sound check for you at lunchtime. So we'll fire it up. And for those of you who heard us warm it up earlier, it's pretty obvious. Even if you're the other side of the field, you'll know when we fired it up.
It's not to be missed. Well, there's some curious-looking white boxes hanging out of the back of these Range Rovers over here. So we're about to unveil something very special for you. as some of the cars are already out on track. That wonderful C-type that Tony mentioned there is currently sat in the paddock. I must just mention, while we're getting ready for this this art unveiling, I haven't seen what's behind these yet either myself yet. 77RW is one of the cars that is out there on track. Most of you will know the story of this car, of course. It was the car that Norman Jewis famously drove through the night to Geneva for the motor show in 1961, when the car was launched on the 15th of March that year. And the story goes that despite having taken a coupe over there to Geneva in an overnight rally virtually to the motor show, they then realised that the press reception was so amazing that they didn't have enough slots to give all of the press the test drives they so desperately needed. So Norman Jewis, who was out of Myer at the time with computers hanging out of that car, got the phone call from Sir William Lyons basically saying, leave Coventry now, you're coming to Geneva, and he ripped out everything and rushed down to the port, whereupon he missed the ferry. The guy on the gate of the ferry said, what's this car? And he explained it was the new E-type. They then hold the ferry and allow Norman Jewis on, and then some few hours later, remember this is 1961, there were no auto routes in those days, and it's March, so the Alps is covered in snow. He made it to Geneva, I think it was 16, 17 hours, something like that. An incredible feat driving that car all the way to the Geneva Motor Show to launch it to the hungry press. So 77RW, that very car, is out on track now, just coming round the apex of the bottom corner there for the racetrack actually, just past the paddock. So some really lucky people enjoying that iconic E-type here on the 60th anniversary this year at the Summer Jaguar Festival. Now then, Tony, you've arranged some strange and curious looking white boxes. What's all this about?
Right, like you said, even Wayne doesn't know what's in these. These are two pieces of art by an artist standing next to me called Richard Neergaard.
Hi, Richard.
He's exhibited at all sorts of places, and in fact there are two of his pieces of artwork on permanent display in the British Motor Museum at Gaydon. There's one of his pieces of artwork on permanent display to a very limited audience on my study wall, because I saw it, and I've got, some of you will know, I've got a red Series 2 E-type, and he'd done a piece on a red Series 2 E-type, so I said, I'll have that. And then coming up to the 60th anniversary, for the 50th anniversary, we commissioned a painting by Ian Cook, who does Pop Bang Colour. He paints with model cars and so on. And I thought, well, we ought to commission something for the 60th. And obviously, Wayne's already mentioned 77RW, and having come across Richard's work and got one in red, I said to Richard, hey, can you do one of these of 77RW? And that's what we've got behind these two boxes. So if you let Richard say a few words first, and then we'll do the reveal.
Yeah, I was very happy to get a call from Tony, and the Jaguar, of course, is beautiful. So then you have to think, what can you do, that is good enough to represent the beauty of the car and the technology it represented when it was new. It was a bit of a breakthrough. So I've come up with a piece of art that's sort of high-tech, gloss. Hopefully you think it's beautiful. And it will be on the wall of the museum.
It's not every day you get the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust commissioning you. It must have been a great honour to take that job on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I love the museum. I'm a big petrol head. So that was great, and I worked with Tony to figure out where it should go and how it should be displayed, and I think it'll be a very nice part of the collection there.
And just how many hours of work have gone into these?
About a week into each piece.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll explain a bit more afterwards when we see them. It'll be more clear, the link and so forth.
Well, I'm excited. Right. Let's unveil, I think.
In fact, the good news for me is I asked Richard to do one piece of work, and as you can see, we've got two. So we'll start with the smaller one first. Okay. So if you want to grab the top corner there, and just...
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time anyone's seen this. And there it is, 77RW, that famous car that I just told the Norman Jewis story of. Explain what we're seeing here then, this type of materials that are used here and how this is put together.
So this is anodized aircraft grade aluminum that's laser cut and then folded into tiles. And each tile is put in a different direction. No two tiles are in the same direction next to each other. And then there's a poster that's laminated and then it's plotter cut, you know, designed on a computer to get it to fit, you know, exactly to the tiles. And then I take a piece off the car. This is obviously normally the piece that just goes across the center.
Of course.
And because of the scale, I turn it into the whole bumper. So an original piece. All my art has original car parts that have nice stories to them. And then it's mounted on a gloss acrylic with some chrome standoffs. And, you know, for Jaguar collectors out there, I can make a piece like this for them with their own car on it. I just need the photo, high quality photo, and I can work the rest.
That's a beautiful piece, it really is, and it's lovely to see all the different angles of 77RW that you can see no matter where you stand, actually, and I love the fact it's got a real piece of E-type on the front of that, so well done, Richard. Let's, well, two for the price of one here. Let's unveil the second as well, because this looks even bigger.
So this is the same concept, but a profile piece. And it includes an original Jaguar spinner.
Beautiful.
And these were photos that Tony had taken just for this art with a professional photographer, and worked out pretty well.
Normally when you have them on display, they wouldn't be behind a Perspex cover. These are just here today because we knew we were going to exhibit them outside, and we've all seen what the weather forecast may or may not do. So yeah, the Perspex is purely for today. So once they're on display in the museum, the black panel will be bolted to the wall. The rest of the outside white packing case won't be.
It's a beautiful piece. I'll stand back and drink it in for a moment, I think. And you can too. They are on display all day here at the front of the paddock. They'll be left here for you to come and get up close and have a look at those different angles, the fact that that's a real spinner and a real bumper chrome in there, radiator grille chrome, and get up close to these magnificent works of art unveiled here exclusively at the Summer Jaguar Festival at Bicester Heritage. I think for Richard the artist, a big hand, please. Well done, Richard.